All right, guys, a couple things we need to do on our washer today. So if you've got a washer like this, these are pretty common, and what happens is they go off balance and they bounce around, or they make a vibrating sound, a loud banging noise. And what that is the 4 suspension shocks in each corner have gone bad and they need to be replaced. So here's a couple of things that's super important about that. One, to test to make sure that's actually the issue that you have. You do the 2-finger, what I call the basketball test. And basically, if you can bounce this like a basketball with 2 fingers, that's how you know it's bad. The shocks are bad. This otherwise would be really stiff, like you wouldn't be able to move it. And you'd kind of push down and kind of get it to budge a little bit by putting all your weight on it. But doing this should not be able to do that. So you can test yours just by doing that little 2-finger test, or just put your hand on there and see if it bounces around. Okay? We're going to go over a few things because there's a couple things you need to know. One, where to get the parts, and 2, there's a little modification you have to make on the new parts in order to get it to actually work. So I'm going to show you both those things. Stick around. I'm going to show you all of that in this video. One other super common thing is if it's been off balance for a while, it could cause your agitator to get loose like this, and you don't want to leave it like that. Okay, now this is supposed to, this 2-part agitator style, it's supposed to move clockwise and not back counterclockwise. So that part's not worn out, but this, see how loose that is? That's not good. So we're gonna fix that real quick. That's super easy to fix. You're gonna pop that top off, reach down in there. That's like a little wing you can get your finger under and pull this off. And then we've got a bolt down there. I believe it's an 11 millimeter with an extension. We're gonna just tighten that down with an extension real quick. Yes, it is an 11 millimeter. It's an 11, we've got our extension. Now we're not gonna go crazy on it, but we're just gonna kind of re-tighten it down. Here, I'll just check it real quick. Nope, it needs to go a little more than that. This back. Okay. Check it now. There, that's about perfect. It's okay for the top to move around like that, but see the bottom's not bouncing around anymore or going side to side? And it's got a little bit of play up and down. That's fine. We just don't want that bottom plate to be shifting and going side to side like it was. So now it's on there. It's nice and tight. Everything still moves like it's supposed to. So there's step 1. That's the first thing fixed and done. Okay, here's the second most important thing. New shocks. You can take the model number, which is located right under here, of your washer, and you can go to appliancepartspros.com, or you can go to partsdoctor.com and type in the model number, and then you'll get a list of parts and just look for the shocks. Okay, if you get them on Amazon, you have to get them. This says Whirlpool under here, Whirlpool Corporation. You have to get them from Whirlpool. Okay, if you get them from Amazon, you have to get them from the OEM manufacturer. Otherwise, I can almost guarantee you they're going to be junk out of the box. That wasn't the case a few years ago. That is the case now. So you need to buy OEM. And I got these for $53 on Amazon from Whirlpool. It's the exact same price from the other website I normally buy from, which is Parts Doctor, but it was faster shipping because I'm a Prime member on Amazon. So the part number, let's see if it'll list the part number here. So for this particular washer, there's 2 styles here, and normally ends in a 4.5 or 4.8, and the difference is the length and shocks. So you need to know which one you have, because there's 2 washers that look exactly the same like this, but they both use a different style. So it's important to go through that process. Take your model number, go to appliancepartspros.com or Parts Doctor, type in your model number, get a list of parts, and find the shocks that you need. If you click on the listing and scroll down, you'll see this part number, or whatever part number it is, the OEM part number. You can copy it and take it over to whatever site you want to look for your parts at. But please, please, please do not buy cheap $20 shocks from Amazon, because you'll get them out of the box, you'll install everything, and guess what? They're gonna bounce on you because they're junk. People do this with Samsung washers all the time, and Samsung gets a bad rep because of cheap replacement parts. It's unfortunate with Samsung, but if you buy the OEM quality and don't overload your machine, you're gonna save yourself a lot of time and headache. Okay, so let's move into the next step. Okay, next step is going to be taking out the 3 screws that hold the top cover panel on. You have one on each side, and then you have this little plate that covers some of the cords that go from the bottom to the top. You just want to remove those. All right, now in order to get the top off, what we're going to do is pull forward, lift up, and push back. Then it's going to lift right off. And then when you bring it down, you're going to do the same thing. Pull forward, it drops down, and then you push back. Just kind of have to make sure you line it up. It's a little easier with two hands to do. But to get it off once again, we pull forward, lift up, and push back. And then it lifts right off. All right, now I want to show you on here real quick. There's no way to get that out. On some of them, there's a little slot that allows you to unhook this up here and just kind of kick it out the side. Can't do that with this one. So the best way I found to do this is just one at a time. Okay, what we're gonna do, we're gonna lift this up. Okay, I maneuvered it so that I can pull it out like this. We're just going to drop it down in there. Just get it to focus there and just allow it to drop just like that. Okay, so now it's gonna sit like this. All right, now we're gonna just push the machine over. We're gonna reach under here, pull this old one out. Now let's check and see if they're the exact same height. Okay, now these, if you can see that, are exactly the same height. So because we bought OEM parts, we don't have to mess with manipulating the hardware and all that to make them fit. Now, if you buy the cheap ones from Amazon, they're gonna be like this much longer. And then you have to use new hardware that you have to manipulate and all that. But since we spent the extra 25 bucks, we get the exact same height. So all I have to do now is just push this over and fish this new one up through the bottom. Just have to make sure it goes through the hole. It's pretty easy to do here. Just like that. Now we can take the old shock. Back up here. Okay, now I can take the old shock. Make sure you can actually see what I'm doing. Yeah, you can see that. Okay, so I'm just gonna move this out of the way for the moment, like that. I can take the old shock and reach through here and grab the new shock. Some people will fight with these things being kind of greasy and all that. Well, this is a little trick. Just pull it up like that. You can take this, hook it on, turn sideways, and I use the side that doesn't look like it's ever been used. And slip it through like that. Now, if this were messed up or really worn down or cracked or broken, I wouldn't reuse it. But one side here, let me show you. See, one side's gonna look a little used, but the other side looked brand new. So there's no problem at all with just using the other side and not messing with the new hardware. This hardware is perfectly fine and capable, and you can save the other parts in case you need them down the road. Okay, well that's one down. Now we're gonna do the other ones in that exact same fashion. Doesn't really matter which one you do. The only thing you need to note is that when you get to this one and you go to fish it up, just wanna make sure you don't go in between here accidentally. Let me see if I can focus better. When you bring that shock up, you don't want it to pop through here and pull on this. You just wanna make sure that you've got a clean shot from there, straight up, totally avoiding this. That's the only thing you have to worry about on these. And then also just be careful with your arms down in here because that is kind of sharp. So you want to make sure you hold this out of the way when you're working here and take your Apple Watch off if you got one. This stuff will scratch and scrape and just ruin it if you don't have a nice case on there like I do to protect it. I go through these every couple months. They get all busted up from stuff like this. So anyway, those are the only tips you need to know about there. Now this one's busted. See that? So we will replace this because it's actually busted right there. Okay, now on the hardware, this is the old one that's broken. This is the new one. So maybe it is best practice just to go ahead and replace this stuff. I just tend to try to reuse and recycle whatever I can. But if you can see, they're the same height. So it's fine for me to keep the old one on there. You see, the height is just about exactly the same. This one's probably going to sit a little bit lower. So that's perfect. This one's just a little bit fatter. So this one will sit in just a little bit lower. Should be about the same exact height for where the rod comes up over and seats on it. Good to go. Perfect. Okay, now we're done. So we're gonna close this back down. Now remember, it comes down, it brings forward, you feel it slide, drop down, then you push it back, just like that. Now we're gonna turn it, put our screws back in. All right, so shocks are in, good to go, but you're not done. We have to calibrate the machine now that we have new shocks in there. So what we're gonna do is it's all plugged in, nothing's on. We're gonna turn this all the way around, full circle, counterclockwise. Then we're gonna go right, 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 left, right. All of our lights light up here. You're gonna go clockwise until only rinse is lit up. This is calibration mode. Anytime you replace shocks or a shift actuator or a capacitor or the control board or anything like that, you have to do this, okay? Now it's gonna go through a cycle here. First thing it's gonna do is actuate the shift actuator and agitate. Then it's going to shift from agitation over to spinning. Because the shift actuator is what moves a little piece of plastic underneath here on the clutch, if you will, and switches it from agitating to spinning. But that same device called the shift actuator also tells the machine how fast the drum is spinning. So it serves two purposes, and this is calibrating both of those. So it's going to spin here in a second. Once it's done spinning, the last thing it's going to do is it's going to put just a little bit of water in the tub, and then it'll complete. Now, if you get to right about this point or before this point, before you heard it spin there, if you get to that point and all your lights flash and they just shut off, you probably have a shift actuator issue. Otherwise, we're still rocking along here. And I'm letting this play without fast forwarding or anything so that you can get a real timeline, because your machine should do this exact same thing. So if yours stops before this is done, or you get flashing lights, then you'll know that there's something else you need to look into also. Otherwise, if yours does it just like mine, then you know you're good to go. So it spun that drum twice now. Here, ran just a little bit of water. Now it's gonna unlock and say done. It doesn't even say done, but it's done. It unlocked, good to go. Okay, now we are done with the shock replacement job. All of those things have to be done in order for your machine to work correctly, and it's like brand new. All right, now we're all done, and here's gonna be our moment of truth. Open it up, 2-finger test. See what I mean? Yeah. All finger test, it's not budging. It's not going anywhere. I use all of my weight now, and I can kind of push it down. See that? That's what a set of good shocks should look like. Now, if you bought $20 cheapos from Amazon, you might have a similar where you're like, oh, okay, it's good. And you get 2-3 loads out of it, and then it's bouncing like crazy. Especially the Samsung ones. Don't waste your time with Samsung, Amazon shocks. You have to buy OEM. I know they're super expensive, so that's gonna be up to you whether you wanna do brand new Samsung shocks or not. But for these, for this Amana, which is built by Whirlpool, the Roper, the Inglis, there's a few other ones that look just like this machine. This is a very easy fix. It's about $55 all said and done. For new shocks, this is gonna last for years to come now, as long as you don't overload it, about to here without jam packing it in, 3/4 the way full, you should be good to go. Get a lot of life left out of this machine, and that's how we keep them running. Guys, I hope that this helps somebody out, saves somebody a lot of time and money. It's pretty easy to do. If it weren't for this video, I could have had this done in 15 minutes. And I got the products in 3 days. So if you found this valuable, please like, share, and subscribe. Really appreciate it. It'll help more people out, get this out to more people, try to save some people some time and money. And I appreciate you guys taking the time to watch my video. Thanks. I hope you all have a great day.